I have not had this robust of a period in years, and it makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. My first gluten-free cycle is officially over. My temperatures dropped for a second day in a row, and this morning. It did stay above the cover line, but that was because I was supplementing with the progesterone. And I was definitely bleeding. Uh, so, yep, that one was done. Also, all the negative pregnancy tests. Can't argue with that. But basically, I did exactly what I wanted to do with the supplemental progesterone. I extended my cycle length by 2 days. I went from a 26-day cycle to a 28-day cycle. So if it would have been a viable egg, it would have had a chance to implant. Yeah, I have nothing really new to add for the cycle. I am just continuing to do the healthy habits that I have in place. I said in my question and answer video, which you should definitely go watch if you're curious about my story. I said in my question and answer video that it takes 3 months for an egg to fully develop. So changes that you make in one cycle won't be fully in effect for the egg quality until the third cycle after that change. So this is cycle number 2, which means any egg that is released this month will have at least 2 cycles, 4 to 6 weeks of the less inflammation, less insulin resistance, if that was happening as well, and just better overall environment to develop in. So from here on out, I can imagine that the eggs are just going to get healthier and healthier. You know, you learn something new every cycle, every day, and that's where I'm at. I did take my last progesterone shot last night, and I feel like I can kind of feel that still today. It's a little bit of not a wet blanket, but like just a little more grounding. Now that I'm crossing the bridge, I have to remember to apologize to everyone who's been watching my past few vlogs. Hottest part of my walk by far, and it's become clear to me, is when I start sweating profusely and my makeup runs down my chin, which is embarrassing, and I apologize for that. But you know what? It's mineral makeup, non-toxic. So, you know, if it makes you feel any better that it's healthy, then there you go. Gonna get to work. Cycle started. And keep on keeping on, as we do. Friday afternoon, and it looks like they've given their construction workers an early day off today, because usually there's guys all over, climbing all over that building right there, too. That's that crane. And then this little corner right here, you can see what is popping up there from the second tower. I decided not to walk to work this week because it's August and it's hot. And while I don't mind sweating in my workout clothes, I really don't like sweating in my work clothes. So I decided to forego going to the office for most of this week. And there's not a lot of people there anyway. And so I thought I would jump on here really quickly, just to give you a quick update because I'm excited. I'm excited about something. The phrase that's coming to my mind is, when God closes the door, he opens a window, right? That's a good phrase. Then the other phrase that I'm thinking about is, when it looks like the answer to your prayer is no, sometimes it's not yet. And that's the one I think fits this situation, or fits what I'm feeling right now about my situation really, really well. Because this last cycle was obviously unsuccessful, but I got my period, obviously. Obviously it was unsuccessful because I got my period. So my period has now lasted 5 days. And that might not seem very remarkable to you, but my period has been only 3 days for the past, I would say, at least like 2 years. I don't even know when it started getting so light, but it's been for some time. And it was 3 days long when I started IVF. It was 3 days long when I started the whole process, even of egg farming. So possibly like 4 years. It's been like 3, maybe 4 days. And when it got that light, I was, well, at first I wasn't concerned. At first I was like, cool, less tampons, like easily managed. But then getting into having fertility problems, it started to bother me that it was so short. Previously, my periods had been 5, 6, sometimes 7 days. Like, they'd been pretty healthy, steady flow the whole time, and something that I would really have to plan around. And that just kind of went away. So it bothered me, and I asked my my OBGYN about it. I asked the IVF doctors about it. I even asked ChatGPT about it. I have been asking doctors and other kinds of experts about this ever since I started trying to get pregnant. About, is the fact that my period only 3 days, is that a sign that something's wrong? And every single one of the doctors, and even ChatGPT, told me no. Told me no, it was not a sign that anything's wrong, that my body was still capable of becoming pregnant because I was still getting a period, and some women's periods are just shorter than others. ChatGPT actually came up with a pretty creative explanation for this and said that it's because I did ask it. I'm like, well, my period didn't used to be this short. Why are they this short now? And it said it's because my hormones are more balanced now because of all the work I've been doing with good supplements and good eating habits and stuff like this. And that seemed at least a little bit plausible. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'll just accept it, because nothing seemed to be changing the length of my period. Even when I had the chemical pregnancy, I think it was like a day longer, like 4 days. And it didn't seem like it was that much heavier. I'm like, okay, well, I did get pregnant while my periods were this short. So, but still, it just didn't feel right to me, and none of the answers seemed to sit right with me. So, I'm pretty shocked and excited that it's day 5 of my cycle today, and I'm still bleeding. I mean, it's getting lighter, like it's gonna stop probably after today, but I have not had this robust of a period in years, and it makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. I just feel like it's confirmation that everything that I have done is working, and my body has the extra energy to build a nice, thick, robust lining now. I feel fertile. I feel very fertile. This is the way a fertile woman's period should look. That's exactly the way that I'm thinking. So I wanted to share that. It's actually kind of funny because this is really no different than walking on the streets of Miami and having to stop talking when I pass other people or am in other similarly awkward situation. It's the same thing. It's just being outside in Miami. Like, it's just nowhere is quiet, and you're never alone. So there will be pauses in the conversation if you have to sit outside and speak in Miami. Anyway, as I was saying, I feel like this is a really encouraging sign. I was disappointed, obviously, that the last cycle didn't work out, especially after I felt like I had so many really positive signs. But now that I see that my fertility has literally changed, and I can see it, and I'm seeing the effects of it, now I can reinterpret or reframe what was happening in my last cycle as my body's fertility kind of waking back up. That's how I'm seeing it now. Like, that was the cycle where, the lights were turning back on in the house of fertility for me. And I feel like this robust period, this 5-day long so far period is confirmation of that. So it feels like a milestone to me, and I wanted to share it. Other than that, this is just gluten-free cycle number 2. And I have gone back to the intermittent fasting, as I said. I have stayed on that. I am still on that. It's only cycle day 5. So I'm taking iron supplements because I'm obviously bleeding so much, taking iron supplements and L-arginine this cycle during the time that my lining should be building, just to improve vascular flow to my muscles and to my organs to get ready for this next cycle, which is, I'm excited for it. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. This is not the end of this video, and I will keep you updated at least through this follicular phase, but it's looking like it's going to be a good one. Into the follicular phase. The building is getting taller and taller by the day, as you can see. This follicular phase, I'm kind of on a healing journey, because right at the beginning of it, I had a gluten flare, and I've kind of been dealing with stomach issues ever since then. When I had the gluten flare, afterwards, it made my stomach sensitive to anything with fiber. So basically raw vegetables, which I do enjoy putting raw vegetables in my smoothies. Suddenly, I could no longer digest them without getting stomach ache. I had the flare, and now I've just kind of been dealing with these stomach issues. Because like yesterday, I forgot and I ate an apple with peanut butter and then had to deal with stomach issues for about 3 hours afterwards. But, you know, it's all in the name of healing and of getting better. And I know that I just have to kind of wait this out, and that once I get to the other side of this, I'm going to be even better, even stronger. This time that I'm spending allowing my body to communicate to me via cramping and upset stomachs and things like that is time that will pay off in the future. I'm getting to know my body, I'm getting to understand it, and eventually that will be how I know that I am treating myself the way that I should be treated. I am also going to continue the progesterone and oil shots once I ovulate and get into my follicular phase. So this is kind of a repeat of last cycle, except for the feelings are a little bit different because of the healing phase that I feel like I'm going through this time around. And I have to say, I am really, really enjoying being this in tune with my cycle. I've always heard, or not always heard, but I've heard that people promote this kind of lifestyle to live in tune, as a woman, to live in tune with, you know, the 3 phases of your cycle and how that can be really beneficial. It just seemed like kind of a little bit more work than I wanted to do. Like, if I was going to do a diet, I wanted to just do the diet. You know, I didn't want to have to think about which phase that I'm in and also track those things. But now that I am tracking those things, I mean, it's okay. First of all, it's not that big of a deal. I was probably making it out in my head to be way more of a bigger deal than it actually is. It's like you're tracking your period anyway, right? Because I don't know, that's always helpful to know. So then you just kind of add in knowing when you ovulate, and that's basically it. Like, you have the follicular phase, which is before you ovulate, and then you have the luteal phase, which is after you ovulate. So essentially, you just kind of need to pinpoint when you ovulate, and you're good to go. But the other thing is, too, once you are so in tune with your cycles and which phases you're in, you can feel the difference. And so that makes it even easier if you're, you know, wanting to live and to eat and to move and to understand yourself according to your cycle and which hormone is dominating. So yeah, I found that I've really enjoyed it and will probably continue to live like this, just kind of as a baseline understanding of myself and my reactions to things. I will probably start testing with the LH strips today. I did talk about the fact that I discussed starting progesterone and oil with ChatGPT, but I didn't actually tell you like what I'm doing and the dosage and why. So let me explain that really quickly. So obviously I don't want to blunt my body's own signals with progesterone. That's what they do in IVF. They give you a huge dose and overrides your body's own progesterone production, because sometimes you don't have that because it's IVF. And if you're not releasing an egg, you're not going to produce progesterone. So that's why the doses is so high in IVF. So for me, I am releasing an egg. So I don't want to blunt my body's own progesterone signal. I do want to see the influence of it. So I'm starting with a very conservative low dose of 25 milligrams. I think it's milligrams or milliliters. I'll put it on the screen if it's really important. So yeah, ChatGPT suggested starting at either 25 or 50. So I went with the most conservative amount, which is 25 milligrams. That was what I did during the last cycle. And I feel like that dose was a really good dose for me because I was able to see, first of all, I started on cycle day 3. So in the first 3 days after ovulation, I can already start to feel my own body's production of progesterone. You can see that in my videos. But then on cycle day 3, once my body I've already felt it kicking in naturally, then I'll start the 25 milligrams of progesterone. And I do it at night because progesterone has a calming effect, and so it's helpful for sleep. Whew, we are getting sweaty. I'm trying to be more conscious of that. Okay, so I take the 25 milligrams starting on cycle day 3, and then that pretty much, keeps my progesterone levels a floor, right? It's a floor of progesterone. So my body is still fluctuating in its progesterone production throughout the luteal phase, depending on what's happening. But my temperature stays pretty even. My basal body temperature stays pretty even the whole time, probably because of the progesterone supplementation. But at the end, if I'm not pregnant, it does fall the way that it's supposed to if you're not pregnant. So I can see that fall. So I can see the rise and I can see the fall. But it did extend my luteal phase by 1 or 2 days, 1.5 days maybe we'll call it, which I'm happy with that result. So I'm going to keep it that way again this cycle. When I was disappointed that it was falling last cycle, I did discuss increasing the progesterone dose should I see it starting to fall. And I got directions on how to do that as well, but I think that conversation was more motivated by the disappointment of the cycle not working out and not necessarily something that I think I should actually do. I think it's good for me to be able to see my body's natural rise and fall of progesterone and just have that floor in case it starts to peter out a little too soon. So that's what I'm doing for cycle progesterone supplementation cycle number 2.